So this hillside has Blue Cohosh, Caulophyllum thalictroides, and it's already flowered, and here are the berries, little blue berries. They'll ripen into a darker color. There are people who will make fruit jams out of anything, and the trick is just put enough sugar in it and it's a jam. But most people do not find edibility in these berries. The root underneath here was taught to us Europeans who came here by the locals as one of the plants that regulates women and their cycles, and they used it in their medicine, and this was one of the medicines that the women used and the women knew, and their tradition passed it on, and we learned it and codified it and put it in books and gave it Latin names and all that stuff, but it still is the same plant doing the same thing. So this plant helps the blood circulation in the uterus to be regulated and not excessive. So this is one of the things that it tonifies the muscle. Now muscle tone, if you ever see a weightlifter just standing around, it's like they're posing. They're not really posing. Their muscles are always slightly contracting, and that's why their arms hang out like this. They're not just showing off. So the word for the amount of tension in a relaxed muscle is tone, right? So if there's no tone, it wiggles after you stop moving, no tone. But if you strike a position and you can, that's tone, right? So this will take the uterine muscle, and as it goes through its regular periods, it actually is flexing. It will give it a state of tone. To maintain tonus, it requires blood supply. Well, the uterus has a seasonal, monthly shift in blood supply based on the hormones. So this can work with the hormones to make sure the blood does not become excess. This is useful for a woman who has too much blood on her menstrual cycle. So taking this throughout the month will make the muscle tone greater and hold back the amount of blood that flows through. It's also, because of that toning property, given to women who are pregnant, and then at the end of in the 9th month, or even in the last 2 weeks of the ninth month, this is called a partus preparator. This is given to a woman, and it makes her muscles start to contract as the hormones are building, telling her that the birth time is coming. So at the time of birth, the muscles are worked up to make the birth more easy on her, and the screaming and the pushing, which if you ever watch filming of animals giving birth, none of them scream. I'm not making fun of women, I could not do it, but if you watch any animal, there's on YouTube watching an elephant being born. You look at the elephant's little tail comes up and you see this thing, that's pretty big. I mean, you could put your arm in it, but that is going to make that 150-pound elephant come out with a 50-gallon drum of placenta through one of these, and they don't make a sound. And elephants are vocal. When they're happy, they make noises. When they're sad, they make noises. They're vocal, but they don't make noise when they give birth. They just kind of swing, and it comes out, and it's just hanging there, and it's bigger and bigger. You're like, oh my God, you're getting dizzy looking at the size of it. Just watch some animal births on YouTube, and you'll see what a natural birth is. It just happens. There's no, the emotional content is reduced. They're happy, they're totally happy, but not all the other stuff. This is a plant that'll aid that. Now you will find in the modern books, the books written later than say 1995, that Blue Cohosh, Caulophyllum, should not be given to a pregnant woman because it raises the blood pressure of the fetus. And then you say, really? And then you go number 1, number 2, number 3, and you go to the back of the paper, number 1, some laboratory extracted a single compound and pumped it into, a monkey, and the blood pressure jumped up on their fetus. Well, natives and early medical doctors who used this for at least 200 years in the books and in the hospitals until we got to chemical medicine, really didn't have the fetal monitoring that we do. So as an argument, we can't say I can prove to you that it didn't, because it was never said ever in the history books that baby blood pressure went up. Well, they never took baby blood pressure. All right, so we don't even know if it's a natural event. We know that the heart rate is more than double the mother's during the birth, but we didn't know that the blood pressure is going to go up too. And if you isolate a single compound from this, inject it into the mother, the heart rate of the baby can go up so much that it could kill it. So now they say, do not give this to pregnant mothers. Well, you're not comparing the right thing. A complex group of compounds used by natives for centuries, they would note if they're having dead babies. They would just say, everybody in the so-and-so tribe, they're having dead babies. Aren't they the ones that like to drink the Blue Cohosh? Yeah, the Blue Cohosh drinkers. Get away. So there isn't a history of it in the oral tradition of that, and it's because they drank it as a tea. A water extract of a plant is not the same as an alcoholic extract or an isolated pharmaceutical extract. And when you're comparing papers or things that you're reading about a plant, know exactly what it is they're presenting you. Are they talking about a pharmaceutical extract that was tried in a petri dish and given to an animal? Or are they talking about people drinking this every day as a tea or as a tincture, extracted by medicine people who understand the nature of their plants? They're two different things. And you have to have that critical eye when you're reading the literature, or you'll just be afraid of everything. Because, water can kill you. You shouldn't be drinking water. I could lean you back and pour water on you and you would drown and die. So I think we need to ban water. You can do it with any substance. Any questions about Blue Cohosh? Yes.
Since it helps with the excess of blood, what about endometriosis? Where blood
Yes, that's another use for it. So endometriosis is where tissue has migrated from the uterus onto other places, and it reacts to the hormone in the same way as the uterine tissue. So if your fallopian tube has a piece of endometrium on it, when the hormone comes, it'll swell up, fill with blood, and bleed into the down here, bleed into my fallopian tubes are up here, but your fallopian tubes are down here. So as the endometrial tissue swells up with blood, it can close off the tubes, it can bleed into a cavity, it can set up immune responses because there shouldn't be fresh blood where it is. Right. And so that is a use for it. It is one of the
berry for it?
Not the berry, the root.
The root.
Also, for helping with uterine toning, would you use the root as well, or
always the root?
Always
That's
the root.
the medicine.